Hello and welcome to Weekend Winners in association with BetVictor. This brand new At the Races digital show is going to aim to do everything that it says on the tin, and that is going to be hopefully finding you plenty of winners for the weekend. As well as that, we're going to have plenty of Cheltenham chat as the festival fast approaches. Now, of course, we are here to promote responsible gambling, so do bear that in mind that our tips are not guaranteed to win. Some of ours far from that, but we're still going to aim to steer you in the right direction all the same. Anyway, do remember to like and subscribe to the At the Races YouTube channel so you don't ever miss an episode. You can also listen to this show in podcast form as well. My name is Kate Tracey. I'm going to be steering this preview ship as well as offering plenty of my own insight and opinions along the way as well. But I'm delighted to say that far more importantly, I'm being joined by two stalwarts of the game to hopefully give you far more insight than I'm going to be for this weekend's action, because first and foremost we have At the Races contributor as well as Sky Sports racing pundit Declan Ricks, and alongside Declan we have BetVictor's very own Sam Boswell. So guys, great to have you here with me. Thanks so much for joining me. Declan, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'll be even better if all this racing goes ahead this weekend. But it's a really exciting time of year. You know, the build up to Cheltenham. Obviously, a lot of these races are big races in their own right, but definitely feels like we're on the road to Cheltenham now as we go.
Yeah, definitely on the road to Cheltenham, as you say, but we do just have to caveat the fact that racing is just a little bit touch and go for Saturday, though, Sam, isn't it, with Cheltenham, with a little bit of frost in the ground, but so much to look forward to.
Yeah, so much to look forward to. Good news, they've got the Sunday there as a backup plan by the sounds of things, so we can get stuck into some brilliant racing and looking forward to hearing your opinions.
Yes, exactly. More so with your opinions, though, I have to admit. And now the first race we're going to be looking forward to is the Clarence House Chase. This coming up at 1:20 at Cheltenham on Saturday. And the prices that we currently have on offer with BetVictor. We have Energumene as the 8-15 market leader from Edwardstone at 2-1, Editor de Gita at 11s, and then it is 40-1 bar about the remaining three horses. Now, of course, this horse was originally due to be run at Ascot, but because of the cancellation of that, we're now getting it rescheduled for Cheltenham instead. So, Sam, to start with you, please, rundown of these prices. Are we thinking that you've priced this up pretty fairly?
Well, I think it's interesting to think that Energumene's basically a similar price when we had less runners in the original renewal that was due to be run at Ascot. And I think it probably shows the strength of him and Edwardstone towards the front of the betting that we've had these additional horses in. And I don't think they're going to play too much of a part in the race, if we're being honest, unless we see a major upset. People love Energumene. He really is, considering how lightly raced he is for his age. He really does attract serious interest, and he's an absolutely brilliant horse. Obviously, fantastic career to date so far. That Champion Chase win in the rain last year, albeit the race perhaps fell apart a little bit. He is the one to beat here, it's fair to say, but it's great we've got Edwardstone in there. I think he's a serious yardstick to go up against. Obviously, unfortunate at Kempton last time out, but I think it's going to be a good clash.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And like you say, Edwardstone is flying a tiny little Union Jack for the British, at least anyway. But Declan, your assessments of the race at this stage?
Yeah, look, I think the day at Cheltenham is dubbed Trials Day, isn't it? I think all the races that are going to be run there, the graded races, are going to be, you know, they're good races in their own right, but they're going to be proper trials. In the Clarence House, I see a lot of pace on in here. Amarula Sky, Editor de Gita and Energumene like to get on with it. So, you know, we're not going to have one of these sit-and sprint trials where, you know, we don't learn a whole pile. I think we're going to learn an awful lot about Energumene and Edwardstone as well. Little bit of a shame it wasn't at Ascot, obviously, which would have been live on Sky Sports Racing, because I do marginally think both of these horses are a little bit better going right-handed. They can both just jump and adjust to their right, as we saw, I think, in the VT earlier there in Energumene when he took on Shishkin last season. He kind of dived badly to his right at 2 out. But look, it's going to be a seriously good race. If you're an Edwardstone backer, I think the race sets up very well with him, because the key to him is getting pace to run at, and he's going to get plenty of pace here with Energumene in.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of who you're betting, though, or who you're backing at this stage?
I think Energumene is going to be the most likely winner. I just, you know, maybe a bold statement. I think Willie, he's as good a horse as Willie Mullins has had throughout his whole career. He's got so much ability. I think he's rated 176 by the BHA. I think he's worth every single pound of that. The only thing I would say is I hope they don't hold him up. They did hold him up in the in the champion chase last year, maybe something different to try and turn over Shishkin. That race did fall apart, but the two big things for this horse for me are, one, his ability and his cruising speed and his stride. Like, he just covers so much ground easily. He's got such a high cruising speed, puts horses under pressure early and in mid-race while he's doing it all easily. So I do hope Paul Townend lets him stride on and use that cruising speed and his jumping as well.
Yeah, because that's been a bit of contention though, Sam, and you'll probably back this up as well, where many people have said, well, if Energumene isn't allowed to bowl on in front, his jumping isn't as efficient that way. So are you trying to take him on as well, or how are you playing it?
I'm really boring, and as a bookmaker, I should really be trying to look to get him beat. But I think the angle here could be potentially to look at things. We've got the length and the odds options on site if you want to play him, but I don't think he's going to win by miles this time around. I'd be probably backing something like 2.5 or less. I really think this would be a nice race. I think the quality of opposition will help him here. I think this isn't going to be one of those things where he's going off a crazy short price against nothing taking him on. I think the pace will help, and I think it'd be really interesting to see. Should unfold well. For me, Energumene's the horse is going to win.
Yep, I'm in total agreement. Fortunately, we are being pretty unoriginal for the way that we're starting this preview show, because we're all with Energumene. And I think that's probably a pretty fair price at the minute anyway. So Energumene for me, Energumene for Sam, and also Energumene for Declan as well. So that is the Clarence House Chase. Don't worry, we do have more betting heats coming up for you, at least anyway, as we have given quite an unoriginal start to our betting previews. Now, the next race.
As we mean to go on, I think.
Exactly, yeah, that's it. We're setting the precedent for this preview show. 8 to 15 favourite, you're very welcome. Right, on to the next race. This is the Cotswold Chase. This is at 2:25 at Cheltenham. Now, of course, we're going to have plenty of potential Gold Cup clues in here, and the betting with BetVictor currently reads as follows: with Protectorate as a 13-to-8 favourite, Noble Yates in at 2-to-1, Frodon at 15-2, same price about Ahoy Senor, Sounds Russian 9-to-1, and Dusart as the 12-to-1 outsider of the field. So, as I say, Declan, potentially, we're going to have leading British Gold Cup hope Protectorate going and strutting and stuff, but we have that absolute anomaly that is Noble Yates in here as well. So how on earth do you separate these horses?
I think the market's got it right. I'd even maybe say on form, Protectorate could be a little bit shorter, to be honest. Look, I know Noble Yates, he's definitely improved again this season, no doubt, but I think Protectorate will easily be the best horse he's taken on this season. Again, you know, it's been dubbed Trials Day again, but I see lots of pace on in here. It's going to be a good race. Frodon, Noble Yates, Ahoy Senor, Dusart, they all like to get on with things. So you're not going to be dilly-dallying around. You know, horses are going to need to travel. They're going to have to jump as well. But I just do think Protectorate is the horse to beat. Now, I do think he was a little bit flattered by his win in the Betfair. Obviously, a Plutard pulled up and the horse he beat in second, Eldorado Allen, I think he just patently didn't stay on the day. I think he was about maybe 7 lengths up jumping the last, which is maybe a fair reflection. I think he won by 11 in the end. But look, he's returned in good order. He's definitely improved again this year. He was third in the Gold Cup last season, beaten a long way, to be fair, but I just thought he was given too much of a wide ride. He was wide throughout. He also made a very bad mistake, I think, at the last, which curbed a lot of momentum. But he's got such a good attitude, this horse. I loved how he stuck his head down, tried to get back up, to get up for third late on. So I think Protectorate is definitely the right favourite. You know, I think Noble Yates, he beat Dusart, or not Dusart, he beat Ahoy Senor and Dashel Drasher at Aintree the last time. You know, Dashel Drasher would be an awful big price in a race like this. I know Noble Yates was giving him weight, but yeah, I do think Protectorate is definitely the horse to beat, no doubt.
Yeah, so the classy horse then in this race. Like you say, cracking attitude. Few of us could learn a few things from Protectorate probably in itself anyway, and we're getting to see him now on the screen at home, and like I say, he just looks an absolute gent of a horse all the same. So yeah, he is short enough at the head of the market, but like I say, difficult then for Declan to beat. Sam, how are you playing this?
I'm taking Declan on here with Noble Yates.
Yes.
I think the one thing he didn't mention was just how visually stunning the win at Aintree was. I mean, you don't see... that's in my kind of top 10 freakish things I've seen.
Do you think potentially maybe Ahoy Senor and Dashel Drasher took each other on a little bit? Because that race at Aintree was the tale of two circuits, really. The first circuit, I think, was steady enough, and the second circuit, with each section, they got quicker and quicker. And I just wondered, did it maybe fall in his lap a little bit? But in terms of visual impressions, I completely agree with Sam. The way he took off on the run to the second last, I think it was, or the last, it was seriously impressive.
Oh, do you want to back that back? Zach?
I just think that's an interesting point, but I really just think this horse is going to be different gravy this season. I really, he's a Grand National winner who comes here. I love the way he jumps. I thought his Wexford return after disappointing in France, which he didn't get much of a run, he pulled up fairly early. But I just have a feeling that this horse is so much better than we already expect. First horse to possibly do the Gold Cup National Double since Golden Miller, who knows? Potentially, but I'd love to see that be the case, Kate. But I must say, I just think here he's the one I'd rather side with. I actually think they're going to get closer in the betting, and potentially he goes off favourite deck. I think you could be wrong.
Yeah, no, potentially. I do. I think there's a little bit of juice in the price at 13 to 8 protected. I'd have him a little bit shorter. I did see Harry Skelton earlier in the week talking about that he's not going to be as ready going to this race as he was as the Betfair, which is fair enough. The big goal is the Gold Cup. So I think in terms of kind of residual fitness, maybe they could come closer in the betting on that alone. But look, if the same protector turns up as he did at Haydock or even in the Gold Cup last year, I think he'll beat Noble Yates.
Right, so the pair of you two looking at the head of the market, I'm taking the pair of you on because I just wouldn't be surprised if one of these faltered. And the horse, therefore, for me, is Frodon, because we talk about the pace angles. I'm hoping that Hoyson is going to come in like a wrecking ball, headbutt the first. Frodon's going to get the uncontested lead, use his jumping, and may just be able to upset one or two of those at the head of the market. But at least we've got divided opinions on this race for once anyway. So, in terms of selections, Frodon for me at an each-way price. Absolute cop-out with 6 runners, but hey-ho. Sam?
Noble Yates to win.
And
Declan for me. So look, we've gone for 3 different horses in a small runner field. If we don't have a winner here, I think we're going to have to bin the show next week.
Yeah, we're from one extreme to the other. Right, now hopefully again we're going to have far more betting angles in our next race, because this is the Grade 2 Cleve Hurdle at 3 o'clock at Cheltenham, where the absolute character that is Paisley Park is going for a 4th win in this particular contest. So now, Declan, can the old boy get his head in front in this race yet again?
I think he probably can, even, and it's in some ways it's disappointing to say that, not about Paisley Park, but just about the general state of the health of the staying division in the UK at the moment. I think in Ireland they've got 2 nice horses there in Tehupu and Home by the Lee, who probably deserve to be head of the market. But the fact that Paisley Park, under a penalty, we shouldn't forget here, is still as short as 5 to 4, it probably just goes to show that how bad the staying hurling division here is in the UK. Dashel Drasher, a very hard horse to get a handle on. I think in some ways he's a very likeable horse, but he's bone idle when he gets to the front. Look, if there is a track made for Paisley Park, it's the new course at Cheltenham. Is that stiff uphill climb there really does suit him. We'll see him here getting up late at Ascot.
This was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. This was a seriously impressive race, but I think Ascot with the short straight probably doesn't play to his strengths as well as kind of the longer straight at Cheltenham. But look, I don't want to be too downbeaten Paisley Park. He's a seriously good horse. And interesting, even though he's a year older this year, I think he's marginally better than last year, which is a surprise given you'd think a horse at his age would be on the downgrade. But yeah, I think he will take a bit of stopping again, even under the penalty. But yeah, he's a bit of a fairy. Going for his 4th win in this race, 4th win in a row. We did miss 1 year, I think, was because of COVID. But yeah, whatever happens, if he never wins another race in his career, he's had a stellar career already.
He has, hasn't he? He's just a horse that just continues to write this unbelievable story, doesn't he? With all of the background about him as well. Now, Sam, I have to be honest, I think you've got this price up wrong. I think he should be shorter Paisley Park than his current price.
Kate.
I think it's an absolute good thing.
You think he's shorter?
Yeah, may have given away my nap for the end of a show, but I think he should be shorter than this. I think you've got it wrong.
I think we might have a way of getting him beat, and I think it comes in the second favourite. So it's not exactly the biggest price in there, but for me, I'd rather chance that Dasher going that little bit further. Obviously, we've seen plenty of him at the shorter distances in his career. The 3 miles at Aintree, obviously that was over fences, went down to Noble Yates, who we know how much I like, given we've spoken about him in depth earlier. But I would much rather give him just another go at the prices at around 7 to 2. Don't get me wrong, I've got huge respect for Paisley Park. But Declan makes a really fair point, actually. He's 10 to 1 for the Stayers Hurdle. We've got at least 3 Irish horses, shorter price than him for it. It does represent possibly the fact that the staying division in the UK is lacking. And, it's great that we have Paisley. If he goes and wins, we'll clip him again, I'm sure. But like I say, I still think he's got a lot to find compared to the Irish horses. For me, if I'm going to have a dart, I'll probably have a go at Drashaw and see if we can get him beat. Ooh. Hopefully, he can kick on from the front and see what happens. We've got the French horse in here as well, which is a real enigma at a huge price.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know why he's here, to be honest with you. It's absolutely baffled me. But yeah, I did also note the slight dig that Declan had over the Irish horses that we still have to take on anyway. But Paisley Park at 5-4 for me is
the
a
other
very
thing
good
as
bet.
well, I probably should mention of Paisley. I think this race sets up well for him. Botox has Gelino Bello, Dashel Drasher, Lord Accord, Molly's Ollie's Wishes. They have all raced prominently or gone forward. So, you know, it's going to turn it into a real stamina test, which I think will really suit Paisley Park because we know he does stay very, very well.
Yeah, so ultimately your selection, just to reiterate.
Yeah, no, it's going to be Paisley Park for me. I'm in total agreement with you. I think he should be shorter.
Oh, Sam, you've been ganged up on here.
Yeah.
You're now with Dashel Drasher as your selection.
Yep. 7-2. We'll have a go.
Right, and I am also with Paisley Park. So that is all three of our selections for the Cleve Hurdle. So that is all of our Cheltenham action covered for now. We are going to be looking ahead to Doncaster in our next bit. Now, one of the feature races on Saturday comes from Doncaster. This is in the form of the Sky Bet Chase. Now, a Premier handicap chase. This comes up at 3:15 up at Doncaster. A wide open race as we tend to expect, but the betting currently reads as follows with Galore as our 5-2 market leader. T for 3 at 5-1. Captain Nord at 6-1. Mr. Coffee 15-2, and it is 8-1 bar about the remainder. So lots of ways to play this race, Sam. How are you pricing this up currently?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. The anti-post market took a bit of a shift with Mark Wolford's horse that came out. Fingers crossed we'll see him again soon because I think he's a really interesting animal. Looking at the lineup, Galore really does stand out as quite a different type of horse compared to many in here. Less exposed and certainly has been popular for BetVictor ambassador Jamie Snowden. I was very taken with his Paddy Power win. I actually thought his reappearance at Aintree was a huge run after such a significant layoff. He backed it up, obviously, going to Cheltenham and winning. And for my money, I know he's the 5-2 favourite, but I can't get away from him here. I'm a massive fan of the horse. I think he'll go very, very close. And I also think he's one to watch if you want something as a potential improving horse that could just make the frame at a massive price in something like the Ryanair Anti-Post. Maybe worth having a look before he runs this weekend. But a really stellar lineup. You've got the likes of Mr. Coffee, who I no doubt will end up finishing second like he seems to do all the time, 15-2. One thing I would say, if you like something at a bigger price, because there's others that probably won't be on the screen that'd be a bigger price, we've had 2 40-1 winners in the last 2 years of this race. So don't be afraid to have a dart at a bigger price. 4 places on the race of BetVictor could pay to play each way.
And older horses as well have done really well in this race recently, which I think, for me anyway, when I start a handicap, you're always looking to those younger, less exposed kind of horses like Gallo. But older horses have kind of actually dominated the race for the last 3 or 4 seasons, and at big prices. So yeah, if you want to take a swing at the race, if stats and trends are your thing, this is probably a good race to do it. But not for Sam. Sam's heading to the head of the market.
Yeah, I guess, as I said earlier, it's just about that profile. I just think he is a much better horse to come. I think there's so much potential with this horse. Really looking forward to seeing him go here. I think he'll pick this up en route to possibly running at the festival.
Oh, OK. So, like say, potentially a Ryanair lurker. Would you be backing for the Ryanair now if you think he's going to win this, if he's going to be clipped in?
Yeah, I think I'm going to probably throw a very small bet on him for that. Because if he wins this, undoubtedly we'll cut him.
You'd be kicking yourself if you didn't, and then you suddenly saw a sea of blue, then about his price is all the same.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I was looking at the markets last night for the Ryanair. There has been, we're recording this on Friday morning, so on Thursday there was a couple of nibbles for him around at big prices, 66s and that. So
people are really trying to jump the gun then.
Yeah. Well, it's probably an interesting race to have a look at because Allaho's taken a big chunk out of the market and we haven't seen him yet, and he's going to go there without a prep run. So, and he may not even get there. Who knows? But yeah, it could be an interesting race, anti-post for our viewers.
Yeah, definitely. But your own. You talk about the trends that you've looked at for this race. Who are you siding with?
I'm actually. Well, I was giving Sam a bit of need for going to the head of the market. I'm just behind him.
Hot kettle black. Here we go.
Yeah, I do apologise. Yeah, it's going to be T for free for me. He's just been really progressive. I look at this horse physically and I'm like, just built for chasing. He's got so much kind of physical scope, jumps really well, and he travels well. And I think Doncaster is a track you need to travel well. It's of the 2 courses there at Donny, the inside track is the chase track. It's on the turn. I think it's a tough track to jump around as well. Donny, you know, you've got the 4 fences that come away from the stands, and then you've got three fences, I think, on the turn, which is difficult enough on a sharp track to the inside. T for free, he jumps and he travels, which I really like, and he's really progressive. And I love last time out as well when he won at Newbury under Lily Pinchin. Tactically, he was versatile. He had been kind of held up in mid-division in his earlier races, but she bucked him out and made the run, and there was no bother to the horse. I probably want to take on Gallo. just at the prices more than I think in terms of profile, he's perfect for the race. But I'm not sold on his jumping. He's got his own technique of doing things, and when he won the Paddy Power the last day, he carried 11 stone. He's actually going to carry 12 stone in physical weight now. So he's got. I think jumping could be a little bit harder for him as well. And when he won at Cheltenham that day, I think 6 out and 5 out, Johnny Burke gave him a good squeeze up. You know that to go about it. If you don't travel around Doncaster, I do think the race can get away from you.
Definitely so, and we have seen that with this race time and time again. Now, my own selection is actually not on this current page because the last time I looked, he's around 20-25 to 1. Shanty Alley for me. The fact that he's just massively improved for this wind operation that he was given over the summer. He's finished second twice on his 2 starts this season. So I just think there's far more to come from this horse, and I can't believe that he is the price that he is. Hugely respect those at the head of the market, but all the same, I'm choosing the option, as you've both said, to chance a big price outsider then for this race. So that is a look ahead to the Sky Bet Chase. Do remember that you can watch all of Doncaster's action live on Sky Sports Racing from 12:15 onwards. There is also further graded action because we do have the Lightning Novices Chase. Epatante goes in the Yorkshire Rose Mares Hurdle, and there is also the River Don Novices Hurdle. So you really don't want to be missing out on any of the action at Doncaster. Right, now we're going to move on to our Cheltenham segment because we are only 7 weeks away from the Cheltenham Festival. I can't believe how much the time has flown by. So I'm handing over complete free rein, no pun intended, to the lads for their best bets from this far out for the Cheltenham Festival. So Declan, I'll go back to you, please. Your best bet at this current stage for the festival.
I'll be honest with you, I really struggled with this. I think anti-post betting, like people say it's dead. It's definitely not dead, but I just think, the bookies aren't giving too much away at the moment. Look, I ended up siding with a Willie Mullins horse in the Brown Advisory, James de Burley. I just really liked his debut at Ferrier. I think he won on New Year's Day, his first run in a long, long time. He's clearly a horse that hasn't been easy to keep, right? But I thought he jumped really well. And what I loved about it as well is, from 2 out to 1 out to the line, he kept pulling further and further away of a horse who he gave £7 to, who was a mid-130s rated hurdler. Which was impressive given it was his first run and given how fresh and keen he was. He took to fences quite well. I'm not too keen on the likes of Time Hill at the head of the market. I like Time Hill. And I think the cheap pieces really did sharpen him up when he won at Kempton over Christmas, but I'm just not sure he's got the physical scope to kind of match it with these proper Grade 1 Irish novice chasers when it comes to Cheltenham. And the other thing with James de Burley, he was trained in France by Robert Collet. His first run for Willie Mullins ever came in the Champion Hurdle in 2021. I thought that was interesting in its own right, but it also was interesting. He was backed from 25s into 14s on the day. He'd clearly been working well, clearly shows a lot of pace and class at home. I just think if he went to the Dublin Racing Festival next week and won, I think maybe we're looking at maybe a 7-2 favourite.
Oh, so James de Burley. Again, another Irish dig that Declan's managing to get in there against the British horses. Probably fairly so, to be honest with you. Sam, now you are going for a little bit of a wild card, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're 4 places on the Supreme, 4 places on the Ballymore and 4 places on the Albert Bartlett at the moment. We're the only bookmaker I can see out there doing that. So with that in mind, I'm desperately trying to find a little bit of value. The Supreme, we've got Facile Vega, obviously a very short price and a very impressive horse. I'm not going to sit here and try and crab the horse in any way, shape or form. It's very hard to want to take the horse on. But with the each-way play in my head, I think Timoris is a really, really good price. I was so impressed by the Tolworth win. Missed that second last. Tanked through the race and just looks like a proper professional horse. Head and shoulders, I think, from what I've seen in the UK over most of the kind of novices. 10 to 1 looks a cracking each way play. And, we have still got 5 weeks to go. I don't ever like to see it, but we do have the potential for horses to come out of races. Yeah. And I don't want to be touching an odds-on shot at this point. We can quite happily sit and wait and watch. So for me, Timoris was the sort of each-way angle at a double-figure price.
Absolutely scandalous. He wants Facile Vega to miss the race.
Exactly, that's it. Exactly, already trying to put them off on it. But we are going for the same race, because I'm also in the Supreme, but with Marine Nationale, because I just think Facile Vega far too short for me. He's a lay at that price rather than a play. So Marine Nationale, we know where he's going, straight to the festival. I think, no pun intended, he is supremely talented, though, this horse. So that was a look ahead from a very early look, 7 weeks out to the Cheltenham Festival with some of our best bets at this stage. Now, it is time for the lads to put their money where their mouth is, because I require from them their 3 best bets for the weekend. That's their nap, their next best, and their long shot as well. So, Sam, you are first in the firing line, please, for your 3 best bets of this weekend.
I'm napping Garlaw. We've already spoken about how great a horse he is, so I won't go into too much detail, but he'll be my nap. Next in, my next best is going to be Jupiter de Gis for Gary Moore. It runs in the Triumph Hurdle Trial, which kicks off at 11:40, the Cheltenham card on the Saturday. Really liked his win at Newbury. It was freakish, really freakish. This will be very fascinating to see if he can back it up. I think the conditions should suit. I think the pace should suit as well. He's a bit of a strange horse, according to Gary Moore, but that doesn't bother me. As long as he repeats the effort at Newbury, I think it'll be a really nice one. That's a good little race as well, I'd say, to kick us off. Then my final selection is going to be Dr. Brown Bear. Now, this is a long shot. It's a big price. I think about 25 to 1 at time of recording. It's a really interesting horse. Martin Brazel runs it at Cheltenham. Doesn't need to come over here, really, to find a race like this. Has previously gone close on a few occasions. We saw him in the Fred Winter, or Boodles, I should say, running mid-division in a good renewal of that race. 5th on Boxing Day at Limerick. That was a nice return to action. I think could just outrun his price here.
Oh, he's made a compelling case there for 3 horses. Really excited about that Jupiter de Gis. Anyway, could be an absolute freak, Declan. On to you, though, next. Your nap next best long shot.
Yeah, well, we've covered some of the races already. I'm going to nap Protector. I think he should be shorter in the betting. I think he's probably got £7 in hands, I think, over Noble Yates on peak performances, which works out maybe over that trip at about 8 lengths, I think. I think he'll take a fair bit of stop, and he looks an improved horse this year as well. Paisley Park, I'm going to go for the next best in the Cleve Hurdle, looking to win his fourth race in a row, his fourth renewal in a row, I should say. We've already touched on that, gone into a little bit more detail. We didn't have a discussion about Phoenix Way. I think he could run well at Cheltenham on Saturday in the 150. Now, the key to him, I think, is soft ground. I did have a look at the BHA site. Unfortunately, Cheltenham haven't been giving us going stick readings. They say it's soft, but they haven't been giving us any updates on how much rain has fallen either. You know, he really does need genuine soft ground, I think, to go close here. He was very impressive winning at Ascot last season. I loved his return at Chepstow over the Christmas period, shaped much better than the distance beaten, especially given probably the trip on the ground was all coming a little bit quick for him, was a bit sharp. I think if the ground is genuinely soft, he will definitely outrun his price. He could easily sneak into the frame and hopefully even maybe win the race.
Yeah, he is a big price, isn't he? But so both of you have made very compelling cases for your long shots all the same. Now, I'm going to go Paisley Park as my nap. I just think he's simply the best horse in that race, despite being an 11-year-old. Now, my next best is Your Darling in the race that you've just been mentioning beforehand, where shorter price, unfortunately, for me. But I just think that this horse has far more to offer. I think the drop back down in trip should really see him to a better effect. And, of course, the aforementioned Shanty Alley in the Sky Bet handicap chase as well. Just too big a price for me to ignore. So they are my 3 bets then to go to war with this weekend. So much to look forward to. Do remember that you can watch all of Doncaster's action live on Sky Sports Racing. And you can also keep up to date with all of the racing this weekend on the attheraces.com website, the ATR app, as well as Sky Sports Racing for all of the coverage that they will be showing from their tracks. A big thank you to the lads, to Sam and to Declan, for all of their hard work this weekend. Best of luck for your bets today, this weekend even, lads, and today, to be honest. Best of luck to you for all of your bets this weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Do remember to catch up with us again next week, where we'll be covering just a small matter of the Dublin Racing Festival. So we'll look forward to catching up with you then.